Finally, Sony came out swinging with this new event. I have to say, this is one of their better events they've had in some years now. And considering they didn't have an event for a little over 2 years, I have to say they had to come out and show us exactly what they were working on. And man, oh man, did they have a lot to show and a lot to talk about. But most of all, they had a lot of games to show us and even a bunch of awesome launch titles for the PS5 I didn't see coming at all. Now, did the show have its ups and downs? Of course it did. No show ever made was perfect. But from a messaging standpoint and from an entertainment standpoint, Sony came out and put their PlayStation 5 in a very positive light. And for me, the best thing about this is that Sony understands first impressions are everything. And they knew if they came out with a lackluster show after being basically MIA for 2 years, it was going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of PlayStation fans and for PlayStation themselves. So let's dive into this new event and talk about what was shown and what I thought was great, but what I also thought wasn't so great. Not to mention, we'll go around and see what other people around the industry thought of the show and what the reaction was. Either way, the next generation has finally started and Sony just threw their first major punch at the competition. But like always, if you like the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so the first thing we have to talk about is the reveal of the actual PS5 console. I've been asking for Sony to show us the next generation hardware for months now, and they decided to finally show it. Now, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that the console looks extremely different from every single thing Sony has brought out before. It looks a lot more different than any other PlayStation console before it. Do I think it's sleek and futuristic looking? Of course I do, but I also think it's a little bit of a weird design. I think it will grow on me over time, but I do think it's going to be a very tall and big console compared to everything else we have on the market. I mean, the comparisons are already out there. You can see it's dramatically taller than the Xbox Series X and even the Xbox One X. It's a pretty big console, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what it looks like in person. But the biggest surprise to me was the all-digital edition. We've had a lot of rumors that Sony was going to release 2 consoles and that they might bring out a PS5 Pro to match the Series X. Well, that rumor looks to be false, and to top it off, it instead shows that the all-digital edition of the consoles is here to stay for a very long time. You know, something that Xbox did first and was given a lot of hate over. Well, it's looking like that console was a massive success, and Sony saw the success it had, and they decided they wanted a piece of that pie. And to be honest, that will be the console I get, especially if it has a substantial price drop. Now, this family of consoles and this family of devices, like the headphones and the remote control and the camera, yes, even the camera. Oh no, everyone throw a fit, it's a camera. We can't get the console now. But all jokes aside, this reveal was pretty awesome, and the console was given a very good first impression, which this article points out when it talks about the PS5 having its first reveal. Here's what's said. However, today's event marked the first consumer-oriented show from Sony just months from release. The event represents a turning point for PlayStation 5, catching up with Microsoft's recent efforts, and is arguably now positioned ahead. It's wrapped with us knowing how the next generation box will look. It's adopted a winged, two-tone design reminiscent of conceptual future-facing renders, and presented a vast lineup of titles headlined by Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Gran Turismo 7. Third parties also pulled out their flagships, including Resident Evil 8 Village, Arcane Studios' Deathloop, and the cryptic new Pragmata IP from Capcom. This quote does paint a very positive picture for the PlayStation 5, and while it talks about the console design and how it looks much more different to the Xbox Series X, it does bring up the most important aspect of this event, which was the games. Now, I know a lot of people might think the PS5 reveal was the biggest thing and we should all focus on that, but for me, the biggest surprise was the amount of PS5 games they showed. I mean, I was one of the few people to say that the games they will show might be more third-party, and they might show a couple, maybe 2 first-party games. Well, I was very wrong in thinking that because Sony came out swinging, and they threw some massive punches with their big titles. And to me, the first punch has to be the new Spider-Man game with Miles Morales. I mean, what else can you say about this game other than Spider-Man is one of my favorite, if not my favorite PlayStation exclusive this generation. I played that game so much and had a blast doing it. I mean, I even have the PS4 Pro Spider-Man console. So when I see that they have a launch Spider-Man game for the PS5, that raised my eyebrows. Because for the first time in a very long time, I actually want to play a PS5 game at launch. This game alone is making me want to buy the console day one. Even though I was going to get it day one, Spider-Man is one of those games that sells consoles and is a massive exclusive. Do I think it's going to be a massive 20-hour game? No, I don't. I have a feeling it will be a smaller game, much like Uncharted Lost Legacy was by Naughty Dog. But it will still be a game that everyone will play, and I'll be there day one playing it. Next up has to be Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West. This game caught me right when I saw the San Francisco signs and the Golden Gate Bridge. Talk about pulling me in and not letting me go. Now, I haven't played the first Horizon Zero Dawn, but I plan to fix that once I finish Last of Us and Last of Us 2. That's the next game I have on my to-do list. And while I know it's one of the best looking games around, I still find myself in awe with how the second one looked in this event. I mean, the flooded San Francisco city and the massive mountains and the environment were something I honestly didn't think they would do. But it's a great surprise to see such a beautiful city given the post-apocalyptic view. And like I said before, I figured this game would show up at the event and it would be a graphical showpiece. And man oh man, did this game not let us down at all. It was a showpiece alright, and it's going to be one of the biggest reasons people buy a PlayStation 5 console. I can't wait to see what else they have in store with this game. It looks extremely promising, and I think it's going to be a huge game for the PS5. Next up has to be Gran Turismo 7, which I called in a previous video. I knew they were going to show this game because throughout history, Sony has always showed a Gran Turismo game when they launch a new console. So it wasn't a surprise to see this game show its graphical prowess and get people excited for a new racing game. As for me, I'm not the biggest racing fan, and my favorite racing game of all time is Forza Horizon, so I'm not that excited for this game. But I understand there's a huge hardcore fan base for racing games. Let's hope they enjoy this game on the PlayStation 5, because you know what? They deserve to have an awesome racing game on that console. Next up is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I have to say, I never ever played a Ratchet & Clank game, and I never knew what I was missing. But after watching this trailer, I'm going to give this one a shot. I mean, I found it really cool how they were traveling through multiple dimensions and multiple worlds, and they were really giving this game time to shine. It was great to see them showcase exactly what PS5 can do, but also explain that this was only possible on the next generation consoles because of the SSD they have within the system. I found the game fun and cool looking, so I'm actually going to try this one out when it comes out. Pleasant surprise, to be honest, and it actually shows how much Insomniac is bringing to the table for next generation. I mean, we have Spider-Man and now Ratchet & Clank. Talk about an awesome acquisition by Sony. Now let's move on to Demon's Souls, which I figured was being made by Bluepoint, who are the top-notch studio of remaking games. Now I'll be honest, this type of game for me isn't the biggest draw, but I know they have a massive following. I have friends who are currently texting me and super excited for this game and are going to be buying a PS5 solely to play this game alone. I think it looks top quality, and it's a game that truly needed a remake for fans that love the franchise. It's a great exclusive, much like Bloodborne was for the PS4 early in the generation. Will I play this game? Probably not, but after watching this trailer, I might give it a try if I'm in the mood to get destroyed a bunch of times. But either way, I think it looks pretty awesome. But the final game I actually thought looked promising was Godfall. Now, I know a lot of people are skeptical about this game, and most people might have merit for that. But for me, I'm happy Sony is trying to make a co-op multiplayer game because it's what I've been asking them to do for years. So when I saw this trailer with all the cool gameplay, I got excited because I hope this game is fun and something I can play with my friends. So good on Sony for finally making a multiplayer game that looks promising. And now I'm going to go into the other games, which had a lot of fun standouts, but for the most part, I just wasn't that impressed with them. Or they looked a little weird and I just didn't find them to be my type of game. Now, of course, the third-party games like Resident Evil and Hitman 3 and a bunch of other ones looked promising and fun, but again, I'll just play those on my Xbox Series X since they'll run and play better there, plus it's my preferred console. But for me personally, the show started off great with the Spider-Man reveal and all the massive games, and I felt that Sony came to play. But once that was over, for about 35 to 40 minutes, the show was slowing down considerably. They showed some cool games I'll check out, but for the most part, I wanted to learn about the PS5. And like the Xbox show in May, they didn't show a lot of gameplay from those games. Instead, it was cinematic trailers or it was games I just didn't really care about. But then they ended the show with a great game in Horizon and then showed the console. It was a solid show overall, and I think that Sony put their best foot forward, and I do think they put Xbox on notice because this showing was a great reason for people to buy a new PS5 console. And this will most likely be the only show Sony has for us for quite some time. Maybe they have a show in August, but who knows? That was a rumor floating around. Yet for me, this does put pressure on Xbox, and they need to come out in their July event and let loose. They need to show massive games in development, and they need to make Halo Infinite shine like crazy. Go out there and talk about the games you have coming in the next year or two, or don't hold anything back. Because right now, Sony showed awesome launch titles and awesome games coming in the future. And they didn't even show God of War 2 or any other massive games we know are coming from some of their other studios. This is the time Xbox has to come out and finally show us what they have. Because right now, Sony did throw a massive punch to the competition for next generation dominance. I'm just excited to see both companies go head to head and fight for my mighty dollar. Because so far, I love what I'm seeing from both companies, and I'm happy that Sony finally came out and started speaking up, because right now, their marketing has been killing it the last couple of weeks. But enough about what I think about all of this. Tell me what you think about all of this. Did you like the new PlayStation 5 design? Are you happy with the games that were shown? Did the new Spider-Man game surprise you? What game impressed you the most? Are you going to buy the all-digital edition or the regular edition of the PS5? Are 2 consoles too much for customers to handle? Do you think Sony had a great show? What does Xbox have to do in order to keep the hype on their side? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there. So get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. Currently, I'm playing Minecraft Dungeons, trying to beat the game on the hardest difficulty. I'm trying to get that achievement, and I'm playing The Last of Us on my PS4 Pro. I'm really enjoying the game. I'm trying to get it done before Last of Us 2 comes out, because I'm looking forward to that game a lot. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later!